Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to our webinar series, Future You, Set Your Career Compass Right with Experts Insight. And I'm Kalyani Majumdar, your host for today's webinar. So today our topic is careers in marketing, and this is the part 3 in the marketing series. We have already covered digital marketing and brand management. So in this one, we will be focusing on sales management and the broader scope in marketing. So in this webinar, you'll find out all about the various roles in marketing, career growth in marketing, how to make the sales to marketing connection, what are the various job opportunities available, key skills required to excel in this field, how to build your profile to stand out from the rest, and more. And to answer all these questions, we have our speaker today, Sauvik Mukherjee. He's a business development manager at Amazon India. Sauvik is an alumnus of IIM Indore and has hands-on experience in various roles in the field of marketing. Prior to Amazon, he has worked with Oil and Coffee Day Group, and he has interned with Burgers Paints. So welcome, Sauvik Mukherjee, and thank you so much for being here today for this session.
Thanks a lot, Kalyani. I'm really thankful that you took everyone through my career trajectory. So my job is done.
Yeah. Okay, so let's then start from your career trajectory.
Perfect. So you covered it beautifully.
Yeah. So you can start from IIM Indore to Amazon, as in very briefly, if you can just take us through it, jog us through it. And the thing is also, what was the trigger for marketing? Okay, so yeah.
So when you were in a campus, you were not a chooser. So whatever chooses you,
that's a very honest answer.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be very honest. A lot many people are not from engineering background who wishes to pursue an MBA career, right?
Yes.
But in campus, you will typically see a non-engineer probably will be pushed to a role of sales and marketing, right? Because the commerce graduates or the people with accounting background, they might be choosing the finance as a career, right? People from IITs, SRCC GBOs probably will be choosing consulting as a career, right? But from a humble background, if you do not have a great pedigree at your graduation and you are a fresher as well, in that case, most likely you will be ending up with a career in sales and marketing from the campus placement. But again, that is surely not the end of your career. That is just a stepping stone. You have two options at this stage: either stick to this career and build one out of it, or try to move into a role which suits you the best, right? I chose to stay back because sales and marketing turned out to be in perfect sync with my long-term and mid-term vision. I'll be taking everyone through what happened exactly and how I ended up in sales and marketing. So in campus placement, it was day 3 or day 4 probably when this company Cafe Coffee Day came in. Before that, I sat in 2-3 interviews. One was Shadi.com, another one was AkzoNobel. It's a paints company, Dulux, if you were aware of. The commonality between all these interview opportunities that I got, all these roles were in sales or marketing. I barely used to get any break in consulting roles or finance roles, and that was not my focused area as well. So I built my resume according to a sales or marketing professional, right, during my MBA days. But still, I would say that was a very rookie resume. It had nothing. So I ended up being interviewed by Cafe Coffee Day. They were kind enough to give me that opportunity. I joined straight away from campus placement in CCD group. Now, by Cafe Coffee Day, you will be having this idea in mind: I must have managed Cafe Coffee Day stores. No, I didn't manage that. I managed their B2B segment of the business, which was, if you have an office or you have ever been in an office, you must have seen a coffee day vending machine. It's a coffee vending machine, right? We have a range of it. So I used to take care of that part of the business, and I was posted in Orissa as a area sales manager out there. So the end-to-end spectrum of operations, service, sales, direct accounts management, key account management, building the portfolio, building distributor network, everything hands-on experience I gained there in 2 years of my stint. Post CCD, I started liking this career because there are multiple reasons. I'm not getting into that right now. I'll get into that later on. Post CCD, I started pursuing this career in a better way, I would say. And I started hunting for roles which will be relevant tomorrow. So CCD was in a what should I say? It's a retail business, right? It's more towards consumable or FMCG kind of a thing. But tomorrow the business trajectory or the entire industry is going to shape up and change. Just credit goes to Web 3.0, metaverse, e-commerce revolution that is coming in. So tomorrow roles are going to change, the jobs are going to change, and the industries are going to change as well. So I started shifting from a typical business to a business of tomorrow. So my next stepping stone was Oyo. I acted there as a business development manager. It was an e-commerce, but an e-commerce of real estate, I would say, right? I worked there as a business development manager at the beginning, and which is an exact frontliner role. So I used to hunt for leads, I used to negotiate, I used to onboard, and then drive business out of it. I used to work with multiple partners, internal and external cross-functional teams, and finally, drive the business out of it. 11 months down the line, they chose to promote me as a business development head for Calcutta, and they gave me a task to launch their new real estate business in Calcutta. So starting from the scratch, building a team of 22 sales professionals within 1 month, I conducted almost 200 plus interviews, I believe, in those 2-3 weeks. And I built a team. And of course, there were people with me. There was one regional head who I was reporting to. And we built this entire business from scratch over a period of 12 months. We built the supply, we created the demand, we created the teams, operations team, demand team, logistics teams within our region. And finally, I exited that business after 11 months of my stint. So if you see my career, I have been very choosy about the roles or about the companies that I have joined. I have taken up fresh challenges where there will be a scope of taking a business from 0 to 1. I have taken up challenges where there is a scope of taking a existing business from 10 to 100. So two different set of skill sets are required actually in order to do these two different things, right? And I was fortunate enough to get a break in Amazon after that. I joined as a business development manager, but again, here comes the trick. The term business development manager gets used in different senses in different industries. Here, as a business development manager, I am taking care of the end-to-end market development activity for East. I have a regional head whom I am reporting to, and the regional head reports to a national sales head. And I take care of a sales team of 15 right now in East. And I have been into multiple projects in Amazon as well. I will take you through later on about it. And yeah, 2 years I have spent in here in Amazon as a business development manager.
So, okay, now let's talk about business development manager. Is BDM similar to, is sales management just another terminology for BDM, or are these two completely different? Can you then, and if they are really different, then can you talk about what's sales management, what's BDM, what are the roles and the different?
I get it. So I have friends, right, and who always says that sales is nothing but business development. Business development is nothing but sales. So it's just a flip side of the coin, same coin, right? But that is not really the case. These two functions have different roles to play within an organization. So let me just try to share one snippet with you that will probably work good in this context. For a while, I guess it's visible. So let me take you through one by one. So business development comes just in the middle of sales and marketing. So if you choose these functions at two different ends of a business development will fit in the middle. Now, how business development is different from sales? I would take an example of a hospitality industry. Let's say Oyo, right? We used to have two different functions there. One is the demand side of the business, one is supply side of the business. I was in the supply side of the business and I was called a business development manager. Why? Because I am activating supplies for Oyo Room. I'm onboarding more and more hotel partners on Oyo's platform. I have nothing to do with the occupancy or say the demand generation or the end consumer will be booking those properties. There comes the role of the demand managers or the sales executives who brings in the final end customer to the business and generates the business out of it, right? So if you take it in a different way, business development managers are responsible for activating distribution of a business. So in an FMCG, if you see the business development managers often are tasked to bring in distributors, trade partners, or say activating different channels for their distribution model. Whereas the sales executives are basically responsible for one small segment of the territory. He goes to the distributor, takes care of the primary sales, and then he works with the retailer, takes care of the secondary sales. He passes on the feedback to the business development team that we need more distribution, we need more retailers in this area. Business development team activates those channels. And based on all this feedback and numbers, marketing team devises an agenda for the entire business to run it smoothly in that entire territory.
Okay.
So just to define it, it's not my definition, it's a definition that has been given by HBR, Harvard Business Review. Business development is the activity of pursuing strategic opportunities for a particular business or organization. For example, by cultivating partnerships or the commercial relationships, or identifying new markets for its products or services. So this is actually more focused on creating the supply of a business. It's not in the operation side or the logistics side. Just understand it from the raw material perspective of a business that is required. If Olo needs to grow, what do they need? They need more and more hotels. If they have more and more hotels, more and more customers will flock in and their business will grow up.
Right.
Consider Amazon. If we have more and more sellers, there will be more and more selections to offer. More and more customers will flock in and the demand will go up, and further more and more sellers will be required to address that demand. And there comes the role of a business development manager. Now in sales, what happens? Sales is typically focused on meeting the end consumer's need, pushing the product to the end consumer, pushing the product to distributors. They are more targeted towards selling it off. We are more targeted towards onboarding a partner. So that is the basic difference of business development and sales. But why does it fit well with marketing? That is the question. In sales, I would say that the proper career trajectory that one should have if they really want to build a career from sales to marketing, they should spend at least 1.5 years at least in sales to understand what exactly sales is all about. There is a large chunk of marketing campaigns that that actually fails when it is tested or when it is implemented across the country or across a geography. The reason being, most of the marketers do not have a hands-on experience of the ground scenario. They barely have any understanding of a consumer behavior at a micro cluster level. So suppose I'm a business development manager or a sales executive and I'm taking care of a large chunk of a region in West Bengal, in Odisha, in Chhattisgarh. I specifically know what is the demand of these customers, what they expect, how much price sensitive they are, what kind of communication they actually like to listen to, what will create the need for them to buy my products. But if you are a marketer, all these informations will be critical for you, but you will solely be dependent on few data from online researches, internal data availability, as well as some anecdotes coming in from the ground team. But if you have that hands-on experience of managing these kind of tasks, you yourself know what it takes to sell off a product at the final level. And the better understanding you have, the better marketing campaigns, brand campaigns, category management efforts you can put into your marketing role. And hence, going forward, and also the current trend is like that, all the marketing roles, 50 to 60% of them are filled up with those individuals who have at least a sales or business development experience in whatever capacity it is possible, right? So that is the basic difference, I would say, about business development and sales, and why I think it is absolutely critical for someone to have this kind of an experience.
Sauvik, can you unshare your screen? Because let's now take
how to turn it off. Just one second.
Just a minute.
Got it.
Okay. So now you've talked about BDM and sales. Can you make the connection between sales and marketing? As in, since you did say that, to be successful, is it really true that sales is one of the primary tool to find success in marketing? As in, you need to start from sales really to make it, to grow in marketing. And also, you have to repeat, I think business developers are related to marketing.
Perfect.
I think,
again, I'll just repeat the same thing. I think it's absolutely good to have a sales and business development experience to build a successful marketing career. However, that is not absolutely necessary. It's your choice whether you want to have a hands-on ground experience before exploring marketing careers, because at the long run, you want to excel in your marketing career, right? And for that, you need to gain certain set of skills, certain set of knowledge. And that doesn't come from book. That doesn't really come from book. That you have to do yourself. You have to observe for a very long period of time. And then you will gradually understand what it takes to sell a product. across industries. You'll understand the trends. And then what marketing functions does. Typically, a marketing functions has a certain set of monetary budget. They channelize those monetary budget towards creating few campaigns, which campaigns will create awareness within the end consumer. And finally, the sales team will be enabled to sell their products at a larger scale because marketing team has enabled a greater customer awareness at the market for their products. Now, in order to create that awareness, you'll have to really understand your product first. What is the feedback, how it stands against its competitors in the market in terms of pricing, packaging, quality, demand, whatever it is. What different features it brings into the customer, how it is differentiated from different products. And finally, why at the end of the day, a customer chooses to buy this sort of products. These understanding barely comes from observing a large set of data. Marketers normally checks out a large set of data, they try to identify few patterns, and then they take some decisions to channelize those energies towards a marketing campaign. But if you have those anecdotal experience from your hands-on experience on ground, you'll be able to take those calls better, faster, and devise the campaign in a more personalized, customer-friendly way. And hence, I think it's an absolute great stepping stone for building a marketing career if you start from sales or business development. Now, how this transition happens, why sales and business development becomes a good pick for a marketing recruiter, right?
Yeah.
The reason being, in sales, you are basically trained to go through enormous amount of stress day in, day out. Understand, just let me give a figure. Across industries globally, only 3.5 to 4.5% of the leads gets converted finally. What does that mean? If you call 100 accounts, 95 to 97 of them is likely to say a no on your face.
Correct.
Now you are spending a day where you or your team is, engaged in calling sellers or say calling customers, and they are only listening no. There will be, 2 days, 3 days at a stretch, they're only listening to no's and no's and no's. After 3 days, they won't, feel like calling customers because they are so much demotivated. That is an exact situation you will go through once you land up in a sales or business development role. Then you gradually, start getting out of that, mental block, and you start self-motivating yourself because at the end of the day, you will have to keep your job. That pays you, right? And you will have a family and yourself to feed. So you cannot let go of the job. Job market is not that in a great shape right now. So even if you want, at a very beginning of your career, transitions or job switch will become difficult. And most likely in hasty situation, you will end up with a decision where you will end up in a company or a role where you really didn't want you to see yourself, right? So you will start customizing yourself with the entire sales and business development process. And that process actually imparts a lot amount of positive attitude within you. And a business leader has to have that attitude because it's all about navigating through the ambiguity, navigating through the negativity around in the market. People will say no, but you have to go and sell. There will be failures all along. You will onboard accounts and then they will churn out of the system. You have put into 2 months of energy to bring him on board. And then you will suddenly see after 5 months of business, he is churning away. Retaining that account, having a tough negotiation with him, understanding his problems, then solving for it, gradually earning their trust. All these personality traits or communication skills or say the logical thought process gets built over the years. And that is the key to become a great marketer tomorrow, because normally marketing people lacks this kind of a skill set altogether, I would say.
Okay. Yes, in fact, some of the very, very well-known CEOs and CXOs have actually started from sales. And
so 100 so out of 100 top Forbes CEOs, 17 of them specifically are from sales and marketing.
Correct.
So the reason is only because we understand customers better than most of the functions,
and you can work under pressure.
We can work under pressure. Very true, very true. And the most important key, which I have not touched upon yet, is sales is the function where all the drama happens, or business development or marketing is the function where all the drama happens. And by that I want to say it is in the center of all the functions. Finance can work in isolation. Operations can work in isolation, logistics can work in isolation, sales marketing cannot work in isolation. It has to partner with different cross-functional teams, has to take support from them in order to ensure the business is happening on ground. And that gives them understanding of all different functions at a broader level, and which enables them to become a better leader tomorrow because they have understood the business from a different lens and a broader lens.
Correct.
And that's why more and more CEOs are coming in from sales and marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So, so a few years in sales management, what does that do for your career? Like, can you take us through, like, say, from entry level to senior level? How is the progression? Maybe take an example.
There is no one formula fits all kind of a thing out here. So I would rather be taking everyone through how my journey has been like, right? So in Cafe Coffee Day, I was defined as an area sales manager. But on the very first day of my job, our VP, Shankar Narayan, told me, like, think yourself as a CEO of the business in Odisha, because you have that authority or the decision-making power or that amount of manpower, resources available at your disposal, and take your business calls. We are not going to intervene. Take your business calls, grow the business. So let me just take a few examples. It was a very small role, I would say, in terms of value. When I joined Cafe Coffee Day in Odisha, it was almost 5 years or 6 years of their business existence in Odisha. They were struggling with only 2.02 CR revenue in a year from that state. And I was tasked to generate a revenue of 3.25 CR within a year. I asked the question, why? Your business have not grown to that extent in 7 years. Why I am supposed to, take this business to a next level? So the answer was, we hired an IIM professional for the first time. And this is why we hired them. So they hired 7 individuals from our campus, and that was their first ever hiring from IIM, right? And that was their belief that probably IIM people will bring in certain skill set which can grow their business to a large level, right? Which is not true. Degrees do not earn you the skills. It's you who need to learn that, and of course, you need to build your own career. So I hustled a lot. 2 years down the line, my closing revenue when I exited the company was around 3.5 CR. So I grew the business to a level which no one could ever do. It's not a magic that I have done. I have thought it from a logical perspective. I have understood the business probably for my better logical reasoning from the previous sales managers, and that reflected in the business numbers. Now, once this stint was done, what experiences I gathered? So I was sitting in an office which was actually a godown. I didn't have any fancy office space. My chair used to be broken. There was no Wi-Fi in the office. I used to work from mobile hotspot. And that was the struggle, guys. And in Odisha, if you move towards the western part of Odisha, it's tribal area, Naxalite belts. So there is a lot amount of threats and people are hostile. So even for a single penny, they can cut your throat, right? So it's very difficult. I have multiple mail escalations to VP for 100 rupees discrepancy with distributors. Can you even imagine that? Right? So this is that difficult to operate in that market. So building the business in that kind of a difficult market gave me the confidence that, well, let me just focus on a different set of industry now and in a tier 1 city. My first option was Calcutta. That's my hometown, right? So I moved to Oyo. What it enabled me a greater responsibility. I started from zero. So a typical business development manager in Oyo starts from a zero portfolio where he doesn't have any hoteliers with them. Now it's his or her job to find hoteliers and build his or her portfolio and own the business out of that portfolio as a business development manager. I built a portfolio of 0 to 800 room nights. So that necessarily means I have onboarded around 40 hotels within 11 months of span. Right? I activated 4 different regions: Diamond Harbour, Dakshineshwar, Kalyani, Haldia. These markets I activated myself. So new market opening, entering a new market with a different strategy, building a large sales funnel, ensuring that you are closing and converting deals on the go. And it's a real estate industry. So the property contracts are one of the most complex things that you will ever come across. So that kind of legal understanding, regulatory understanding, working with government authorities like Kolkata Police, NKDA, influencing those decision makers and stakeholders so that your job becomes easier. Real estate players are not that polite when you do, kind of business transactions with them. They are very hostile. So in that kind of a industry, if you can hustle and create a business from 0 to 800 room nights, and in sense of business, It generated around 3.5 million INR revenue in the month of December 2018. So it was created from zero, right? So it enabled me with the tools, it enabled me with the products, and my sales skills improved over the time because I went with a product which was in demand. It was complicated to sell. It was a concept selling, unlike Coffee Day where I was selling some service or product. Here in Oyo, I was selling a concept. I was selling dreams probably. कि आप पैसा लगाइए, आपका प्रॉपर्टी बन जाएगा, and then इसमें लोग आएंगे, we'll send customers, you'll get revenue. Typically, Oyo used to have a very good, occupancy rate and average room rate back then in 2018. Then the mishaps happened and the market shut down. But back then it was the golden era to work for Oyo rooms. And it was only a 8 BDM team when I joined. Right now they have probably, I don't know, in Calcutta they will be having 80 BDMs, I guess. So they have gone mass. But back then it was a very choosy role where a very handful of people were working and they were building the entire region. Right now they have diluted the role.
So because at Amazon, what kind of role it is, as in how different it is from
Perfect. So from Oyo, when I entered Amazon, it's a different industry. You have to first understand that it's an e-commerce, right? Here, consumer behaviors are different, and the partners that I work with are typically sellers of different scale. Sometimes I operate with brand like Royal Enfield, merchandising brands like KKR, Bangalore FC, Mohun Bagan Club. Again, I operate with players like, if you're from Calcutta, you'll be aware of Sales Emporium, Coastal Electronics. So these are my large sellers from the region. Also, my team works with smaller set of sellers as well. So in Amazon, the job is more generalized, I would say. It's not only about closing sales. I do not have to close sales typically because I have a team under me who does the job. I have to manage the sales day in, day out, week on week, meet the goals. Now, it's not only about onboarding partners. It's about generating business out of them as well. It's about showing them the success. For that, you have hundreds hygiene metrics. So suppose how many selections these sellers are bringing in. What categories of selection these sellers are dealing into. What is the pricing, whether the pricing for this product is really good at a platform level or against the individual contributions we have, competitors we have like Flipkart, Myntra, etc. Benchmarking that day in, day out. Convincing them to invest more and more money for campaigns, advertising campaigns, right? And finally delivering a very high GMS out of them. This is the core role that I have, but again, it has multiple parts in it. The first part is, of course, building the entire seller portfolio within the region of East. I work region agnostic. For last 2 years, post-COVID scenario, we have gone region agnostic. So I can launch sellers from West, North, South as well. But my core job is to build the region East. Whatever it was, I need to probably 25% or 30% uplift that in the next year. Second, retain the existing portfolio and improve their business by managing few metrics. I would not say that few, it's lot many metrics that I have to manage. And then there are multiple national level projects, and those are high impact projects that you will have to be a part of and you'll have to own them. As a business development manager who have spent nearly 2 years in Amazon, he or she is supposed to take care of few additional responsibility because that creates the growth trajectory within Amazon. Until and unless
so what exactly is the growth trajectory at Amazon, as in marketing? Can you take us from entry level to senior?
Yeah, perfect. Marketing is a very broad term, right? I'll break it into two to three different roles. So first is business development. Second is brand management. Third is probably category role, right? So category and business development functions are structured in a similar way. You in business development, you will typically have a ground sales team, 2 layers of ground sales team. One will be senior, one will be a junior level players. Then you will be having these business development managers coming into, then you will be having the regional heads, and then you'll be having the national head. And finally, they reports to the vice president or the director of the company. The same goes for category management as well. There will be CBDMs, which is the category business development managers, but typically these roles are IC roles, individual contributor roles. They do not have a team under them. Now, these category business development managers do not do the sales. They own a category and they try to influence seller onboarding through different regions by the help of this business development and sales team. And they devise few agendas, they identify few gap areas, and thereby improve their performance of their respective category. Now, CBDMs have another layer of senior CBDM. Then senior CBDMs report to the marketing leader, and the marketing leader reports to the director and vice president of the company. Same goes to the brand management role as well. In brand management, typically, a brand manager is supposed to handle brands like Britannia or Dabur. He will be having 2-3 handful of brands from that respective category he belongs to, and he needs to take care of that entire chunk of selection that is live on our platform from that brand. That includes multiple things. That can include as basic things as removing the duplicate products that are listed, removing the inauthentic products that are listed, building in more and more supply, creating more and more distribution networks so that the products gets delivered faster to the clients, right? And finally, they escalates to a senior brand manager role, and finally they become a marketing leader, and finally they report to the national head and the directors of the company.
Okay, great. So can you then tell us a little bit about, you were a fresher, right?
I was a fresher, yeah.
So the thing is, like, there are a lot of MBA aspirants, who are freshers. So, and obviously, they might also be given the similar options like you were given in marketing.
Most likely,
yeah. So, can you tell us what are the certifications? Is there any certifications? Is there something that they can do right now, as in to build their profile so that, they have more talking points as well on the resume? Yeah. So how to build a profile in that sense?
Day by day, the importance of certifications or courses are going down. It's actually going down, and the core real experience has started mattering to most of the recruiters. So my honest or genuine suggestion will be not to waste your energy on any course or any certification, because in sales that doesn't really matter. If you are exploring digital marketing career, you can go for certifications like Google AdWords or YouTube or LinkedIn. That is different story altogether. But if you want to build your career starting from sales business development, there is no certification that can help. But one great exercise that everyone should do, I would suggest, and even the MBA institutes promote that kind of a thing. You should be part of a small set of business. So even if you do not have a product, even if you do not have the capital, you can generate an idea, try to pitch it to the different peers of yours or probably friends, their families, try to make the sales, try to convince them. If you have started, gaining confidence out of doing this exercise, and you have started gradually building your portfolio of clients, and then try to retain them so that they start giving you repeat orders. These are the core experience you require, guys, in marketing and sales. And no textbook can actually offer that.
So they can actually do something like this right now, because, obviously.
Surely they can. And also in MBA institutes, they have the student-run organizations within the campus. We used to have the Spy Shop, which was a merchandise store. You can take all the daily needs which are required in that store, and it's managed by students. Finance, supply, everything is managed by students. There are multiple food joints inside the campus, which is run by the students. So you certainly should be a part of this kind of an activity.
So would you suggest that, they should rather do some internship maybe?
Perfect. That is a great opportunity as well, I would say. However, in internship in most of the companies, for first 15-20 days, you will feel clueless, because nobody really have time to guide you. They will just give you a project, a brief, what you require to do, and then they will just vanish. In most of the cases, that will happen. There are very few structured organizations in sales and marketing who have a very structured program for internship. Normally, it is very ad hoc. They will give you a very brief project. They will ask you, these are our requirements. Now go get it. I will not guide you. There will be a mentor or a senior buddy, I would say, who will be guiding you whenever it is required. But in most likely cases, you will not be able to contact him or her very easily. Right? So it's you who need to learn it from the scratch. So it doesn't really matter whether you are a part of a company or an organization as an intern, or you are doing it yourself outside a company. At the end of the day, the experience matters, and that sells like hotcake in job market.
So experience is very important then, might as well, instead of certifications and all that. We got that. So there are two questions. How a pre-sales engineer can grow their career in MNCs?
Pre-sales engineer, all right, can grow a career in MNC. All right. Look, so sales is a very broad profile, I would say. It varies from industries to industries. So if you see a Google business development manager, he earns in crores. Whereas in Amazon business development manager, they are paid higher than most of the jobs in the country. But again, it's not as high as Google, right? Why so? Because of the nature of the product they are selling. the value they are bringing in. By closing a single deal, probably Google BDMs earns millions of revenue to the company. Whereas in Amazon, probably I'm earning 1 CR, 2 CR revenue in a year by closing a single deal. And that is directly proportional to your salary as well as the growth trajectory. Now, as a pre-sales engineer, you already have some internal sales and external sales experience, I am assuming. And hence, that will be considered as a very good point in your CV. Because if you see the transformation of jobs going forward, jobs in data, AI, cloud computing, metaverse is going to boom. And there are multiple roles which will probably, just vanish out of the job market. And more and more these people will flock into roles like sales, business development, of these sort of products like data, AI, machine learning, cloud computing, etc. Now, if you have already a technology sales background, you were on the perfect ship, bro or sister. So you probably will be navigated rightly towards your career opportunities.
Okay. There's another question: how a salesperson can manage to argue on those points on which they could not drive sales to a company's table? As in, how a salesperson can manage to argue on
got it. Negotiation specifically, right?
Negotiation, that was the question.
It comes from, so there was a sales tip that I provided to Amazon, and it got featured globally. And the reason for that is it is very real that you, in order to have a perfect negotiation, have to understand the need of your customer. You will have to do great level of probing in order to ask the right questions, in order to understand what this guy expects. What is the blocker this guy is currently having, and how my product or service or offerings can actually help him to overcome that blocker and take his business to the next level. If you have got this right, your negotiation will be like a cakewalk. And it's difficult, it varies from person to person, how it is, what is the level of difficulty to understand what the person is really expecting. In some cases, you will find that the business owner is really clueless. He or she doesn't have a vision for his or her business. In that case, it's your job to show him or her a direction. And at the end of the day, it's his or her choice whether he or she will be going ahead with it. Amazon promotes a great culture. We do not nag for a sales closer. If a customer has said a no, we follow up for 2 times and we close the deal. We do not chase the customer or that partner further because we do not want to disturb them. But we do not consider that lead as a closed lost opportunity for us. We again come back after a year. We again hit them because you never know over the time people's mind might have changed. Let me give an example. Oyo had a huge backlash from market because of inconsistent commission structure in their contract, which was the blame, which was not really the case. They had this backlash. Many hoteliers started, going out of the platform, and then suddenly COVID came in, and their business, gone for a toss. Now they have empty rooms for which they have to pay rent. They have to pay for electricity bill. Now they have no other options but to rely on Oyo, Bibo, or other competitions. And there is no company available in the country right now who can generate demand at such a hyper local level like Oyo. And hence they chose Oyo. So if you stop going to your hoteliers or customers at the end of the day by just listening to a single no, you might lose out on opportunity. And these negotiation skills that you just talked about, it's all about understanding the needs of your business prospect. If you have done that right, you will sail through it.
There's a very interesting question about what if a salesperson is not convinced about the product that he or she is selling.
Let me share my experience. It has happened to me.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It happened to me. So I'll not name the company. I'll not name the company, but so it was not my first stint, of course. It was a stint when I had significant experience in sales. However, of course, not at the level of right now what I'm having. But again, that product initially started turning out to be very lucrative to me because I saw an opportunity to build this product and scale it up further. And I was getting a good role out there as well. I was the owner of that business. So I jumped into it because I am always eager to take up challenges where there is huge ambiguity and confusions. Nobody knows what to do. And there is a high chance that you will turn out to be a hero because if you are thinking smartly, right? Now I took up that task. While working on that product, I started understanding that this is not viable, financially viable. You are spending too much of money. It's a heavy capital business. you're spending too much of money when getting a very low margin, and you will probably be breaking even within 7 or 9 years after starting the operations. And you do not even know after 9 years whether this product will stay relevant or not.
Right.
But I was tasked to build that product, right? Even if I didn't have trust on the product, I had to build it. I had to test it whether I am thinking it rightly or not. Eventually turned out that my fear was right. The company understood it a bit late, that this product is not making commercial viability for them. They scaled this entire program down within a year. And I was fortunate enough to take a call and move out of this role even before them, before that. Yeah. So if you do not have trust on the product, test your hypothesis, whether you are thinking it right or not. If you have sufficient evidence, data to prove your hypothesis, do not stay in it, bro or sister. Just move out of it. There are enormous opportunities outside. Sales is a function where there will be no dearth of jobs. I would say I have quit my 2 jobs without any job offer in hand. When I quit Coffee Day, I didn't have an offer, but I didn't sit for a single day before joining Oyo.
Okay.
Same happened for Oyo. I didn't have a job offer. Even I was not interviewed for Amazon when I left Oyo. But I didn't have to sit for a single day after Oyo at my home because the notice period was sufficient for me to find out a job. So if you're really good at this trade, there is no dearth of jobs, and monetary financial growth will keep on happening astronomically higher because you are earning business for the companies. The other functions are cost function. You are a revenue function, and the revenue function has to be nurtured in order to grow their business. So you will be paid handsomely. So yeah, that's it.
So according to you, which are the good B schools for marketing?
All right. Again, it's a very vague answer if I name few institutes, because I have seen people from so-called tier 2, tier 3 B schools in Calcutta in West Bengal earning as much as I am within the same time frame that I have spent in the market. So in sales and marketing, of course, the degree earns you certain advantage and edge over the others, but it's your real skill sets that takes you higher. But again, if you really want to understand sales and marketing, of course, the top 3 IIMs are famous for their marketing degrees, right? And more companies flock into those campuses to hire for marketing professionals.
Actually, that's more critical here. That if you are in a top B school, then you get good placements.
Right. In long term, the multiplier that works, the multiplier that works will be higher for you compared to a tier 2, tier 3 B school.
Right. Yeah. So it's just the journey, maybe.
Yeah.
So okay, can you talk about 3 core skills, 3 hard skills, and 3 soft skills that you require to excel in this field in marketing?
Hard skills, of course, you will have to be very good with data. Because so I often call that sales leaders are normally better at reading data or analyzing data than a marketer, because they have to identify trends, patterns very regularly in order to identify growth opportunities within their business so that they can meet their GMS or value goals at the end of the day. So reading and understanding, analyzing data, understanding the basic tools and features of Excel will take you to a next level. The second hard skill will be, of course, however, that you do not normally learn at your campus, or you cannot learn it before joining a job. There are multiple ERP tools that we use, like Salesforce CRM, Microsoft Dynamics. Earlier people used to use. Now people are using AWS as a service, as a CRM software. Now these softwares learnings are very important to understand, because that's how you'll be managing your entire sales funnel. That's how you'll be maintaining your entire prospects and leads and opportunities, etc. So learning that, understanding the features of these kind of tools will be very much necessary. But I'm not sure whether campuses are teaching that right now. And the final one will be writing SQL queries, because there will be BIs, there will be data engineers available at your company, but in most of the cases, they will not be able to fulfill your daily data requirements. They will send some trackers, dashboards at a regular cadence that will not fulfill your expectations. Because if you need to understand the business, you yourself have to take care of the data part. And for that, you need to understand how to extract the data from the servers. For that, knowing how to write a basic SQL query, fetching the data from different tables will give you an advantage. That will be the hard skills. Soft skills, in soft skills, you will have to be a go-getter. You cannot be demotivated by no's or negativities around the air. You should be hyper focused on the business, and you have to go behind it even after listening a lot many no's. So self motivate yourself, and chasing the goals is a key criteria. Second will be earn trust. This is the leadership principle that Amazon uses. If you are not a trustworthy person, you won't be a great sales or marketer at the end of the day. Your customers, partners, cross-functional peers, your managers, leaders have to have trust on you, and that comes from consistency. So the first thing is very much in sync with the second one. If you have the right skill set, if you are chasing it, then you will be able to deliver consistently, you will be able to meet your words, and people will have starting gaining confidence on you. And finally, they will start giving you bigger and bigger tasks, right? And the last one will be make your manager feel redundant in the company. Because until and unless your manager is feeling redundant in that role, because you are taking care of most of the things, there is not a scope for your manager to grow. There is not a scope for you to grow. So do your job at a next level. Do not focus on your core goals only. That should be on paper, right? But take up additional tasks. Go to the next level. Understand what your bosses do, right? And understand what level of negotiation, arguments, day in, day out meetings they take part of. Volunteer to be a part of that, and gradually start representing those things on behalf of your manager. Now you are going to a next level. So make your manager feel redundant over the time and grow within the career. Yeah. That will be my advice.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take few questions. Somebody is also asking, like, except for IIMs, which are the other B schools that are good for marketing? Well, me too. MDI Gurgaon is very good for marketing, and so is SPGen. And also, ideally, if you're choosing a B school in the top B schools, location does help, in the sense, since MDI is in Gurgaon, so it's close to NCR. So, your placements would be, and your internships would be mostly around that area. And so is in Bombay. So, if you're in SP, JIMR and all in Mumbai, so then obviously, you are closer to all the top companies. So that also kind of helps. Hope that answers your question. And the next question is, what is the role of law fresher in marketing?
Law fresher.
Yeah.
That's a killer combination. People will be afraid of you.
They'll be arguing.
People will be afraid of you. Yeah, perfect. So law graduates are flocking into this kind of a career more and more regularly now. Because the profession has money, the profession has growth, and the profession has exposure, I would say, unlike a law professional where it's very cluttered, right? So if you have understood the law of the land, if you have basic understanding of the legal nitty-gritties about different contractual obligations that the companies have, you are supposed to have a better negotiation with your partners, because often at time your customers will come up with some or the other legal questions or queries, and in most cases we are not equipped enough to answer them. Over the time, we train ourselves against the most asked questions by taking help from the legal team, but we are not the thinker about that problem, right? So if you are from law, you are most likely educate your customer in a better way about the legal nitty-gritties of the business. Like, I'll just explain. Most of the hoteliers in Oyo didn't used to have a GST earlier in 2018. Right now, how complicated it might turn out to be for them, what kind of implications it might have in few days of time. Do not showing tax to the government and running a property year after year, and given that Modi government is now getting really very much picky about this topic, they are trying to extract as much tax as possible by filling up the loopholes. You might get caught tomorrow, and what will be the implications that will be required to be explained. So you will be getting better at the job, I'd say.
Right. Okay. What's the future of marketing analytics?
Marketing analytics. Yeah. So in LinkedIn 2021 survey, they featured analytics and data courses as one of the most on-demand courses on the platform. More and more people are thinking that tomorrow a large amount of people will be required to analyze big data. But I am not of the same opinion. Because I think tomorrow artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to replicate the exact analytics a human can do, right? And you will be having dashboards. Already Amazon has started that internally. We have tools to automate data dashboards. I do not need to analyze it. Feed in the query and it will keep on giving you the data, right? So the requirement of analytical persons within the company will increase. But again, the data analytics part of it will most likely to be automated within next 1 decade of time by most of the companies. So understanding data from the marketing's perspective and understanding the metrics that a marketing analytics team might look at a larger scale will give you an edge. But I would not say that it is a must-have to create a marketing career. All you need is to a basic understanding of how to analyze the data, where to fetch the data from, and how to represent the data to the end consumer of the data set, so that people can consume the more trains from that data set. So yeah, analytics will give you an edge, but again, I do not think that going forward it will be relevant.
Okay. I'm currently working in sales department of an IT firm, and what I've noticed there is that the marketing specialist job is to generate as much inbound lead as they can. So Can you please explain what kind of principles should be considered to generate more inbound leads?
So yeah, multiple functions are dependent for lead generation in different companies and organizations. I'll talk from the Amazon's perspective. In Amazon, we have a central team who takes care of this lead generation efforts. Now, we normally utilizes few different channels in order to generate lead. First is, of course, the ground team. They will be hunting for leads, scouting for it, going to the market, combing it, and finally come up with leads. That is what we call sales scouting. It is one of the most difficult, tedious job to do. Generation of leads are often slower in this entire approach, and but you get the highest conversion of leads here, because the lead you are finally picking in, based on few early indicators from the customer, are most likely to convert into a final sale. Now, there are multiple channels we generate leads from: trade shows, agencies. We have these tie-ups with multiple networks, business networks like BNIs. So these people on our behalf keep on referring few people to us, right? And that few is thousands. We get referrals of 10,000, 15,000 sellers almost in 5-6 months, right? And that is one channel. But again, these are the most untested leads. So the conversion often goes really, really down in this kind of a workflow. And there comes another lead generation mechanism where we are taking the referral, we are taking large scale of leads from different sources, and then we are using a filter to it. And that filters will vary from business to business. Like in Amazon, we might be looking at whether this business has a GST, whether this business has a trademark, whether this business is in a category or in a PIN code where I am expecting business out from. Now, when I filter these leads basis these criteria, the leads become more potent or fertile, and you see a greater conversion. And these mechanisms have established nearly 20 to 25% conversion ratio across the industries. So generate a large chunk of leads from different sources, use your human resources to filter out the right set of leads based on few metrics, and then engage your sales team to convert them, and try to modify and manipulate the conversion ratio by getting better and better at the filtering process. That's the only way out.
There's another question. Well, I'm from IIT Dhanbad, and I'm having 2 years experience of Tata Steel, but I'm having 3 years gap due to UPSC preparation. Should I go for marketing MBA? I have heard company hire only freshers in sales.
Not really. Not really. So Tata Steel is a solid experience that you have. 2 years in Tata Steel. I'm not sure of what role you were into, but it's as good as an MBA. I would suggest. Now, gap in career is no longer looked at as a very bad trait to have. People will explore what exactly you have done in the 3 years, right? What you have learned, if you have failed, how you have come out of it. So people will try to understand you as a person because you lack a consistent experience. They'll try to understand whether you have it to become a good salesperson or a good marketer at the end of the day by digging into that 3 years where you didn't pursue a job. So if you have utilized that 3 years properly, if you have learned a lot, you have hands-on experience on what you have done in those 3 years, you have nothing to worry about. You have sufficient content to sell yourself.
What kind of questions are usually asked by a firm when they are hiring a sales manager? What kind of profile do they prefer?
So, let me give you 2-3 real examples of my life that will help you. In CCD, when I was a fresher, My interview occurred at 9 p.m. at night. Our GD session was over around 12 noon in the afternoon. Right, I waited for 9 hours in the queue to get interviewed by the panel. So I was completely exhausted when I entered the room. My interview lasted for 30 minutes, and the questions were like, if you have been posted as an area sales manager in XYZ territory, and we do not have a business existence there in the state, how you will formulate the strategy to build up the business from scratch there. Do not talk about what exactly you will be doing, talk about the thought process that will be going behind it. That was a question. The second question was very interesting, like, you have spent 2 years in this campus, the walls know you better than yourself. So if the walls can speak and we ask them to speak something about you, what they are most likely to respond with.
Right?
Okay. That was the second question, and there were a few follow-up questions as well. In Amazon, it is more on situational experiences that you had. They will probably ask you, tell me about a time where you were supposed to miss a goal by a huge margin. What did you do? What was the situation like? Why you were missing out on the goal? If you have to do it differently now, how will you do it so that the situation doesn't come up? Tell me about a situation when you went overboard for a customer and did something great for them to ensure customer experience is retained. So these kind of situational questions will be asked so that they understand you better as a sales or marketing professional. They understand you as a person. So more and more companies are getting into these kind of a questions rather than typically focusing their energies on technical questions, because the retention has become a real challenge for the companies. If you see, in last 5 years, the attrition rates across industries has shot up. This is because people are transitioning more frequently. And in sales and marketing, you cannot sell a product from the very first day. Company needs to invest on you, train you, make you ready for it. And then if you leave, that's a huge loss for the company. So in order to retain you, they need to understand you as a person, and they will ask you situational questions.
Okay. There's another one. Is there a good scope in brand? Is there a good scope in brand management? And is brand management related to sales in any way? Of course it is.
Yeah. Brand management is sales in disguise, guys. So
actually, do not many things are sales in disguise, actually.
It's about sales. Life is sales, I would say. Like, you need to sell yourself at every level. What I'm doing right now, I'm selling myself, right? So you need to know how to sell, what your target audience wants to hear, and what you need to offer in order to grab their attention, right? So sales is everything that you should learn, at least even if you are not in a sales career, I would say, right? So brand management typically is an upsell, I would say. So you have a brand, a portfolio of brands under you. Now you need to negotiate with them day in, day out. Please increase the quota of your stocks for my business. So suppose you are from Flipkart and you are working with Marico. Now you need to negotiate with them. You do not give that much stock to Amazon. Give that much stock to me.
Yes.
Have negotiation with them on pricing, on inventory management, on promotional campaigns, coupons, the ad placements that you will be offering them, so that they bring in more and more selections on your platform consistently. Second thing, in brand management, you need to activate their channel partners more frequently, because tomorrow's e-commerce is going to be hyper local. People behavior are changing. Consumers are no longer going to wait for 5 days to get one AC from Amazon. So they will expect their products to be delivered within 30 minutes, right? So for that, you need to expand the distribution network for any brand. So convince the brand to expand more and more distributors, retailers, trade owners on Amazon, so that you have access to all the pin codes, and wherever the order comes from, there is a guy to fulfill it on behalf of the brand. Negotiate the pricing. So all these things are part of sales, right? But at a different level. So yeah, it's related to sales, and sales will give you a great edge in brand management if you have that kind of a knowledge or experience.
Does running a YouTube channel helps in building marketing profile? I learned many things like working in content creation and hence the cost. Further, I learned about trends, customer taste, and digital marketing. So does it help?
Of course it helps. So that same suggestion that I gave, right? Engage yourself into a business, or do some sales yourself. This is a part of our extension of that. So yeah, of course, it's a good to have thing. And of course, it will give you a visibility, exposure, and you never know who will see your video and what opportunity awaits for you, right? So you should try it out.
Okay, great. So this is almost, we are towards the end of the session. And so before we wrap up, just one last question. What are the few things that our MBA aspirants can keep in mind now? to prepare themselves from
All right.
now. Yeah.
Got it.
Any suggestions?
I'll not talk about the strategies that you need to take in the examinations that IMS is there for.
Not for cats.
Yeah, great. But post once you have written your entrance examination and you have taken part in GDPIs, got into a B school. In B school, you need to be very proactive in networking, because that is the best thing that a campus can give you. It brings in lot many of brilliant people within a same campus, and the better you network, the better opportunities gets expanded for you, right? The second thing, get into any sort of opportunities that you are getting, no matter whether you have a clarity of it, no matter how ambiguous it is. If you are getting a challenge and an opportunity, jump into it, because at the end of the day, it's all about gaining more and more and more experience in the field that you like. So take up challenges even if you are not confident. Third, I would say, do not keep an ideal mindset about MBA, post MBA life. It's not a cakewalk. It's not that glossy at the beginning that normally companies portray. You have to hustle a lot on the ground, even if you're in a direct hardcore marketing profile. Brands like ITC, brands like Tata Steel prefers to keep you in sales for a few years in order to make you become a better marketeer at the end of the day. So you will have to taste the dust, I would say, in order to excel in your career. So keep your mindset open, be open to any sort of challenges. Do not ideologize. This is the job profile that I want to be in. You will see guys from BCGs or McKinsey's, traveling in business class, and they are dealing with high profile clients, earning in lakhs, crores. That is a handful of the chunk, right? If you are not that fortunate, or if do not have that skill set to be in one of them, then most likely in sales and marketing, you'll have to have a very rough career at the beginning of it. And as you navigate through the years, you will get better in it, and your life will start becoming that ideal glossy one that MBA normally portrays. But it will take some years. It is not a ticket to success.
Okay. All right. That's all we have time for. Thank you, all the attendees, and thank you, Sauvik, Mukherjee.
Thanks a lot, Kalyani, for hosting this. I believe it helped the attendees to some extent, and I would be happy to take any sort of follow-up questions if you guys have.
You can find him on LinkedIn, and you can ask him questions. I hope you are fine with that, right?
Yeah. That's perfect.
All right.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.